Good evening. This is the jump off with your host Walt the Damager and my main man.
At Rob Cooper Jr. on Instagram, not Twitter. What's going on, family?
It's a beautiful evening in the city of Philadelphia. All this snow covering the land.
That's good, man. Hey, listen, I know we got a little snow up here in the Northeast and in Pennsylvania, but the circumstances are nearly not as bad as what's going on in Texas. I'm sure everyone has heard, the deep freeze that's going on right now in Texas. There are folks in some serious need. There are some serious issues. I mean, many of you probably have seen some of the videos on news channels, on actually all the major news networks, where you saw, I saw some frightening pictures of people with actually ice on their ceiling fans and ice within their homes. And I'm hearing stories of people having to go out and actually get snow to come in and boil it so they can have some water. So situation is real. It's real, and it's real dire. And I think our brothers and sisters in the state of Texas, the great state of Texas, are really in need of our support. This just a quick PSA. If you have an opportunity, to go to the Houston Food Bank's website, and that's HoustonFoodBank.org. You can see it up on the screen. Go in and make a one-time gift. Of course, they have 50, 100, $250, $500, but really it's whatever you can give. If you can give $100, if you can give $1, that will go a long way. In fact, that will provide 3 meals. So whatever you can, if and I know pretty much everyone is struggling right now, but if you can give, please do so. Again, go to HoustonFoodBanks.org and make your contributions. And also, help out a state that they're actually, Walter's, their senator, he tried to head on out to Acapulco or Cancun
Yeah, he
rather than help those in need. So
wanted to get their Mai Tai, wanted to get an early Mai Tai.
so that's just something we want to be better than that. And we elect these public servants, so-called public servants, and we expect them to be there in our time of need. We go out in the middle of a pandemic to vote for some of these people, and in our time of need, many of them are trying to jump down. Shout out to AOC, Alexandria Ocasio Cortez, also Beto O'Rourke, and some other fantastic public service folks that are out there actually working with the Houston Food Bank to make sure that folks have their meals. But we got last, I think 3-4 months ago, we had a really popular show, probably one of our highest rated programs, and many of our regular listeners said, hey, when are you going to get these guys to come back? And that topic that we talked was also a very sore and very sincere topic. We discussed Black Wall Street, and we had these two great guests on, Nasir, the creator, as well as his father, Hershey Austin, came and they are working on a new project. I'm gonna kind of turn it over to those guys, man, and just really, talk about this project. We talked about Black Wall Street, but more and more continues to come out as folks like Nasir and Hershey, continue to do research. And if you don't do the research, you're not gonna get the information. So what's going on, fellas?
Hey, what's going on? We're glad to be back here once again. We have been working on this project for about 4.5 years. So we're at the end now. It's in post-production right now. We're about an hour and something in far as on the edit, just on the rough cut. But our, date that we want to release it will be like May 29th of this year, which will be the 100-year anniversary of the actual bombing, because it happened May 31st - June 1st, 1921. So this will be the 100-year anniversary 2021 that I wanted to drop it on Memorial Day weekend, which would be the 100-year anniversary. So we're very close. We're going to have it ready for you guys May 29th of this year. It's looking good. I had a chance to meet with the editor last night and look at some of the footage. We have some phenomenal interviews. So we definitely going to have something that everyone's going to enjoy.
And Nasir, what is the name of the project that you guys are coming back? If you could kind of tell the folks a little bit about the the project.
Yeah, so it's District Greenwood, the Amalgamated People, and it's a play on the actual name of the town. Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma, is where the bombing had incurred. So we just made it a little bit more palatable for marketing purposes. District Greenwood, the Amalgamated People. And we got a nice little hashtag. You're going to follow it on all social medias. It's hashtag DGAT movie, just to simplify it. So yeah, that's the title of the film. And originally I was supposed to direct it. So during the process of us doing research, my dad became really passionate about the project, and I passed off the director role to him. And now I'm just producing it.
Hirsch, why is this so passionate to you?
I've always been a history buff, and I just want to add on to the name of the title because many people may not know what amalgamated means. Mm-hmm. Amalgamated means people united. It means unite.
Right.
When you go to the dentist, you get that piece in your tooth. You put whatever you put together and it comes together. So we decided to name it District Greenwood, the Amalgamated People that came together. So I just wanted to elaborate on that because people say, what does amalgamated mean? So
Right. And where's your passion lie? I
was always a history buff. And what happened once I started doing my research, I started to realizing that so many different documentaries only focus on the what happened, and the more I started, watching documentaries,
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I started doing more reading, and I started to notice that, everything that happened during that period, I noticed that no one was ever convicted of this crime. They never received any type of reparations for what happened. So I said, I'm going to take a different approach with this film project. I'm going to focus on the why they were so successful, why everyone was so jealous of them, why they were able to keep the Black dollar in the community for sometimes up to 5 years. So I wanted to focus on that, and I wanted to show how important it is for us as a people, how we need to get back to that and own and control our own Black dollar.
That's now. Well, I know you a big supporter of this project, and I know you're a history buff as well. Is that right?
Somewhat. I read, obtain knowledge, and try to pass it off when needed. But I'm definitely a big key component on keeping Black history and information on our movement at a forefront. Definitely.
And it's funny that you just mentioned that, and the more I started getting into it and the people that I wanted to have in it, like entrepreneurs that use the philosophy of the Black Wall Street to actually achieve some of the things that they've been able to achieve, I started to notice if I can pitch this in the right manner and start to educate the young people, not only will they be educated about what actually happened and why it actually happened, but we can actually start a movement and show how important it is for the young ones to get back to start to owning and controlling their Black dollars and creating that generational wealth that we actually need to be competitive in the society today.
Right. Now, one of the other things, first and foremost, I want to commend you and Nasir for a commendable job that you're doing of keeping those that are not astute as to what's going on historically, like I said, keeping them to the forefront of our accomplishments, our achievements and things moving forward. As you notice, within our lifetime, they want to keep force feeding us these slavery movies and make it like they want to beat us into submission with, we were never nothing. We never contributed to the auspices of the building of America, knowing that it was built on the backs of people of color and the blood of Native Americans and things of that nature. Now you giving us the platform and the performance of.
And we were blessed to have the platform for us having a film and media production company to control the narrative.
Right.
How we wanted to convey the story. So that was very important for me as well because, I was starting to get upset when I started to read a lot of these articles and the books that I read and the days I would go to the library. I had some good days. I had some bad days. I said, I have to change the narrative of how important it is for us to for our kids and for older folks to actually know about the story, because there's so many people that don't even know about the story. Even when we actually went to Tulsa, we actually realized that there were some people that they just started recently talking about this incident that happened in 1921, 2 years ago.
Right.
So this was a situation that actually happened that, you weren't allowed to talk about. So they just started teaching this in the schools in Tulsa, Oklahoma, like 2 years ago. So I felt like we had the opportunity that we can then do our, multimedia visuals to create a platform to tell the story in a manner that I think it needs to be told, to show some successful Black people that are doing it today and how important it is for us to get back to doing it in order to control our Black dollars. Because the only way you create wealth, you have to own and control it, and you have to be able to leave something for those that are after you.
You're listening and watching the All In Politics podcast. You can watch us right now on Facebook Live as well as YouTube Live, and also on other platforms. We'll be bringing our podcast in. You can catch this show rerun is immediately following this live broadcast, where you can go over to our YouTube channel. And what you would do is you would type in the All In Network on YouTube. And Walt, I know you have a few suggestions for them once they get over to our All In Network YouTube channel. What should they do?
I want them guys to go out with a little bit of money that they got that they scrounged up from, their weekday work, buy a Carson Wentz jersey. Yes, I said it. Put it on, turn it around backwards, and shine and kick it straight up and push that subscribe button.
That's right. Push the subscribe button and make sure you make it happen. But right now, we are live on Facebook and YouTube. So if you have questions, make sure you send us a quick comment. You have a question for both Najir and Hershey. We will make sure that we will get this information out to you. We can ask any questions and be a part of the show. This is an interaction show. Again, we're the All In Politics on the All In Network, giving a voice to the voiceless. Hirsch, last time you guys were on, you spent a lot of time of giving a history, which was extremely valuable. But I know that this project that you guys are doing is not only about the history of what we did back in those days, as you mentioned earlier, but you also featured some entrepreneurs of today. So you kind of I love that you kind of brought the story back today. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, basically, once I started getting into it and I started picking the talent that I actually wanted in the film, I felt like, there's an old saying, in order to be a good man, you must see a good man. And I felt like it was important for me to show entrepreneurs on screen that use the philosophy from 1921 and are actually incorporating that philosophy in what they actually do today to be successful. So I felt that was very important. One in particular, I have a young lady by the name of Cindy McGee. I saw her on a special called Greenwood, and I thought she was so impressive because she has the largest Black female CPA accounting firm in the country. She has 35 African-American female CPAs that work with her, that work for her firm. And I felt it was important to get that. There's someone that understands money, who understood the philosophy, and she's in Tulsa right now, and she came back to Tulsa, utilizing philosophy, what she learned, to create her own business that she's very successful in today. And I felt like it's very important. I just couldn't talk about the story of what happened. I'm getting away from that. Why we need to get back to controlling the Black dollars. Why we need to see people like this doing that, using the same philosophy of yesterday and still continually doing it today.
It's interesting that you brought that up, and Walt. And one of the things I heard, I think your boy, brother Umar Johnson, he was on a show. I think this is a recorded show, probably about 2-3 years ago. And I don't agree with everything the brother said, but he did have a really good point. He made a good point about us, taking a new approach. Kind of the old story that, in the Black community, you can always find two things on every corner. You can find a liquor store and you can find a church. But one thing you won't find in the Black community is a bank. And one of the things that I really agree with him, he said, and I'm taking spirituality out of all, but we really should, look to build as many banks in the Black community as there are churches. And I think he gave a stat like every Sunday. Of course, this is pre-pandemic, but he said every Sunday Black people were putting at least $14 million into the church, and seeing very little return into our community. Now I did see recently, I see David Banner has brought up a black bank. I don't know too much about it, but I see that they named the bank after Greenwood. Hirsch and Nasir, do you guys know anything about that?
Well,
I've heard of it. I haven't looked too much into it, but I've heard about David Banner coming together with a few other people in Atlanta putting together that bank.
And yes, I just want to piggyback on what Walt had brought up about, well, actually, Rob, what you actually brought up about Dr. Umar Johnson, and you use the word community. You have to really understand when you use the word community, because right now we're a city of neighborhoods. Right now, in order to be considered a community, you must have 4 key elements. You must have a bank, you must have a hospital, you must have a school, okay, and you must have some place for, what's the 4th one? Bank, school, a hospital to take care of people. Those are the 4 key elements that you have to be quote unquote considered a community. And you also have to have a supermarket, because you have to be able to control what you're going to feed your people. So it's very important that, right now we're a city of neighborhoods. We really don't have that old community that they actually had in 1921, because what you had in 1921, they had everyone that was in one particular area. So if you had 30 doctors, they all were in the same particular area. They wasn't spread out. Mm-hmm. If you had 30 dentists, they were in the same area. You had, 30 supermarkets, they were in the same area. So the dollar never left the community at all. And especially, during that period of time, segregation kind of worked for us, because by default, we became very wealthy and successful, because many of the blacks during that period, they worked on the south side of Tulsa, but they had to eat it where blacks couldn't shop downtown. So what they did, they took that money and invested in their own community. Right. Over a period of time, over a period of 5 years, they created that generational wealth that caused a lot of white people on the south side to be very angry and became very jealous, and they decided to want to burn the town down.
Well, now, one of the things, just to piggyback again off of what you guys said about the banks, that didn't negate for the fact that there was a lot of loan sharks in the hood as well. And people were very low on financial gains, and they needed that extra monetary support by going to these loan sharks that were putting interest on top of interest of lending these people money out. And that also was a detriment to our black communities.
Well, but during that period of time, like there were loan sharks, but there were also white people. The town was so wealthy they would borrow money from black banks in Tulsa.
Right.
You got to think about it. Like we chose to do the Black Wall Street in Tulsa, but there were also many other Black Wall Streets. There were actually 2 other ones. There were one that was known as the Luke Penny Savings Bank, which was in Richmond, Virginia. Okay, and then also you had the Black Wall Street in Durham, North Carolina. But the one in Greenwood, which we call Greenwood, Little Africa, or the Black Wall Street, that was probably the most successful Black Wall Street. And those 2 other Black Wall Streets preceded the Black Wall Street that was bombed in 1921.
Looking at our comments, Dietrich Boyd, she tuned in. Thank you for your comment. It said, proud to see a Black father and son team working together on something so powerful. Keep going strong. If you have a comment, thank you, Dietrich, for your comment. Yes. Thank you. And so keep those comments coming on. We'll try to read as many of them as we can get and as they come in. But thank you, Dietrich, for your comments and your participation, in the show.
Yes, thank you.
Hirsch. Well, one of the things that we see when we're looking at some of these documentaries, we got to a couple of questions about and I like to you addressed this. I saw this in your promotional materials. Often in our community, and I'll just bring out Judas and the Black Messiah, the film that was just out right there. Yeah. Surprisingly, got a lot of great reviews. And actually, I saw someone from even the white press who said we finally saw a Hollywood do what we call a Black radical, who was Fred Hampton at that time, the story of Fred Hampton. And of course, you saw how the FBI set him up, some justice. There was, even, going back in the days when Spike Lee did, Malcolm X and some of the other, movies, there's he caught a lot of criticism for using what we call creative license. And actually, I just want to direct this to Nasir first.
Mhm.
You know, as far as creative licensing, we know that that's not the case here in the documentary. But you know, talk a little bit about that. You know, how do we address that as a community? You know, to kind of, I guess, the concept of a filmmaker, what you're really trying to, you know, bring across to the consumers and the film watchers.
Are you asking how does creative licensing work? Or
Let's talk about how creative licensing work, and then, you know, give us your perspective as a filmmaker, or what you normally try to bring across to the public.
well, I mean, I'm not like a lawyer, nothing like that, but creative licensing, from my understanding, is basically whoever comes up with the idea has to actually write down the idea or
Okay.
copyright it. An idea is just an idea. Somebody else may have the same idea, but if you didn't write it down,
Right.
and you know, do something with that idea, then you can't cry about somebody taking your idea.
Mhm.
Even like this film project, we have to start an LLC for this
Right.
project.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So like in the film industry, like you start an LLC for every project that you do, whether it's a short film, documentary, or a feature film. You're supposed to start an LLC because the film itself, because how films can be so collaborative,
Right.
is really a company.
Right.
You have 400 individuals working under this one particular project over this set amount of time. So it's best to make an LLC, and then you can dictate who owns percentages of the rights of the film and who gets what on the back end, who gets what on the front end.
Right.
So that's the best way to really organize payment in film structure is an LLC, because it's basically, it's a business. Every project is a business itself that you do.
We've been blessed because all of our film projects, they've all been award winning, but we've actually financed all our own films, so we don't owe buy anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Great.
We don't only buy anything. And when you get down to the licensing, so say for example, you know, if this film gets picked up and Netflix said, okay, we want to license your film project for a year. Okay, so they had the option to actually purchase the film and buy the rights, like they did with the movie Birth of a Nation that Nate Parker did. That was the highest grossing film at an independent film festival. He paid like $1.5 million to produce that film.
Right.
Steven Spielberg bought that film in Sundance for $17.5 million. But he bought the exclusive rights to it. And I don't know if you noticed, you haven't really seen a lot or heard a lot about that, but he can do what he wants to do. So actually, he purchased that film, all the rights to it, and he kind of shelved it.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying? So basically, if a company wants to license it for a year, they can license for a year, and they'll pay us a fee for a year. And we can also license it after that year is up. They can renegotiate for another year, or they can outright say they want to buy it, or we can shop it around for someone else to license it.
Yeah.
But we have control of it because we don't own it by now. We didn't take an investment or have partners say, okay, we're going to invest $100,000 in this Black Wall Street project.
Right.
And those are the numbers. We don't own anybody anything.
And then I would say, like, for any like up and coming filmmakers, like if you don't have a name yourself just yet, I know people sometimes they might get caught up in the whole ownership and licensing thing. But I'm just like my idol who I look up to is Ryan Coogler.
Okay.
He did a Fruitvale Station, Black Panther, etc. So yes, he did Fruitvale Station, but he had to get financing for Fruitvale Station to make it happen, distribution. Now people may not have known who Ryan Coogler was with Fruitvale Station, so he most likely on the contracts he had to give up a lot of rights to the film. But given that said, he was able to, on the next project, Creed. Now he has a name for himself. So.
Right.
So, and then after that, it was Black Panther. So when you first go around and nobody knows who you are, you got to be willing to make that sacrifice and, you know, give your baby up so you can create the next child, you know, when it comes to this licensing and getting your projects out there. You want to, even though, you know, you want to keep the project as close as home as possible, but the whole goal is to get our movie seen, you know.
Right.
The goal at the end of the day is to get your movie seen. But you know, make sure you look over the deal and you feel comfortable with it. But don't expect too much on your first deal, though.
You know, and just like the, you know, with Black Panther, and I'm not talking about the comic series, but I'm speaking of the Black Panther Party. You know, there's been quite a few documentaries out on them, and now we're starting to see a lot of documentaries come out on Black Wall Street. Do you guys find is there a challenge in trying to create your own space in this Black Wall Street world?
I don't think so, because all the films that we've seen that are coming out and all the past films that we've seen that have come out, they focus on the atrocities that happened, all the bombings and etc. Like, what I like to say, that this film is really a socio-economical documentary. It's very analytical, and we focus on a lot of the economics of what District Greenwood was at that time. So we of course we're going to touch upon what happened, but we're not going to harp on it. We're really going to talk about the finances and the economics, and how can the Black community today do something similar to what had happened back in 1921. So that's why we created our own lane. We're not even worried about anything that has come out. So it's a totally different lane, totally different vibe with our documentary.
With an up-to-date twist to it, because a lot of the stuff that I've actually saw was old dated footage, old interviews. I mean, we actually went to Tulsa. We had some updated interviews. I took a drone operator out there. I took Derek Sires out there with me, Rob. He was a drone operator. So we had some phenomenal shots that, a lot of the documentaries, they weren't even using drone shots. So we have a lot of new things that they didn't even have in a lot of the old, documentaries that we had the opportunity to watch.
You know what? I got one question. Well, tell us a little bit about y'all experience actually being on the ground out there in Greenwood. I know there's a lot of buzz on the ground. Tell me about the folks that are there, folks who are involved in many different reclamation projects and things like that are going on. Just talk a little bit about the kind of like give me the whole vibe.
The whole vibe. I was really surprised because I had, like I said, I watched many documentaries. I read several books on the subject matter. I was kind of saddened when I actually went out there because, we hear a lot about Black Wall Street, this and then the third. We hear about Jay Morrison promoting the Black Wall Street. He's like, his name is mud in Tulsa because he just uses the name. He's done nothing for Tulsa. I remember a young lady said to me, she said, when you do this film project, please don't forget about us. And that's why I'm supporting them. And I have the shirt of the Black Wall Street Liquid Cafe. That's why I purchased the shirt, because the town is falling apart, because most of the old area that used to exist is owned by Oklahoma State University. They have a street that's about 200 yards of the rebuild buildings that were built in 1922. You have the Oklahoma Eagle newspaper. That's the only building that wasn't bombed that's still up and running today. And you would think that there would be a lot of foot traffic that's going into that town, but what they actually did, they built a highway to go over the town. There isn't even an exit that would even say anything. This is the town of District Greenwood or Black Wall Street area. You just drive right over the town and wouldn't even know it exists. So it's kind of sad to see. They really need help. So what happened, corporate headquarters for the X Games came into Tulsa and they purchased up a lot of the land. They built a state-of-the-art skateboard park, bike park. They're buying up all the buildings and turning them into parking lots. What's left of the area that was historical area. So it's kind of sad. The town really needs some help. We know about the story, but if you actually go to the town, it'll kind of sadden you when you actually go out there. And we actually went out there where they had an election where they had the first Black mayor to run for mayor for Tulsa, Black or white. So we have some footage in the film. We actually went to the campaign office to actually get some insight about, the first Black mayor to run for mayor in Tulsa. So when you're in Tulsa, you run both sides, north and south side. So it was kind of sad for me, but it was very also enlightening. I had the opportunity to meet a man named, we call him Mr. Bobby, and he was telling his story. He's a direct descendant from the Black Wall Street, and he told me a story about how, he's 90-something years old, and he's spending the rest of his life instead of enjoying his life, and then he started crying. He has to spend his rest of his life to make sure this story is never forgotten. Right. It was very sad to actually get that interview. And he actually took me to the museum where he had this cowbell that he used to have to wear around his leg, because they used to look for him every day because, there was a lot of racism. He used to hide. And they put this cowbell around his ankle so they knew where he was at all times. So I actually have a picture of me holding the cowbell on my wrist. Yeah, so it's totally different than what you would think. You would think that the town is really thriving. No, it's not a lot of foot traffic. The town shuts down at 1 o'clock. I was hoping there was going to be a lot of thriving businesses. they're really struggling right now. They really need help. You know, they really need help. They need support. They need people to support them, because there was a rumor that LeBron James and Westbrook was supposed to do a story about
Right.
Black Wall Street. These are the type of dollars that they actually need to really bring that town back, because the X Games they're trying to buy up everything in the town that's left over.
Wow.
So that was my experience out there. I met some really good people out there. We went to the people, went to the town, talked to the town folks, went back that evening, hung out with them. So we had a really good time. I had the opportunity to actually get some footage of an area called Standpipe Hill. This was a hill where all the multimillionaires lived, where their mansions were, and they had indoor plumbing. None of the buildings are there now, because these buildings were actually burned down on the eve of the bombing. But before they actually burned the houses down, they actually looted the homes and took out grand pianos, mink coats, and diamond rings, and then they burned the houses down. So I had the opportunity to go to what was actually left, which is the highest point, where it's a situation. If you're in Roxborough, you're looking down at Manioc. So basically, they were up high where the mansions were at,
Right.
over the south side, or where the white people live. So every day the white people had to look up at these rich black people living in these mansions. So I took a drone shot and I covered the air about 300 feet to get that whole panoramic view of what it actually would look like if you were looking down and looking up.
Wow.
So yeah, I had a real good time going to Tulsa, and that was like the final piece of the trip. I said, once we get to Tulsa, the film is done. All the other town I interviewed first, so it was just taking the film crew out there, interviewing the talent that I wanted in the film, and taking it from there. I had a great time out there. It was very touching for us to actually go out there and to share that experience, not only with my son, but also with one of my chapter brothers, to go to some place that we've heard so much about. And we actually went to Tulsa. We were right there at Greenwood, Archer, and Pine. I don't know, many people know that the Gap Band, they're from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And what forms the Gap, you have Greenwood, Archer, and Pine creates the Gap. Charlie Wilson, they're from the area. So the song You Dropped the Bomb on Me is about the bombing in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Many of you may not know this, but I just want to share that.
Interesting stuff.
Wow. So the other question, I know a lot of people would want to know, and aspiring up and coming filmmakers as well, with your duly acquired successes and accomplishments, what do you guys feel, and this be for both you, Hirsch, and for you, Nasir, what did you guys feel to be your biggest hindrances, setbacks, and obstacles? I'm not going to say failures, because you guys have done a remarkable job that is set to be released soon. So there's no failures about anything. But what were some of the hindrances and some of the things that prevented you guys to get further along in the film that you had expected?
Well, there were some times when, we may be working on a project, and I don't know if many of you know, our first film project was about Nasir living with sickle cell anemia. So at any time and point, if you know about this disease, he can have a crisis at any time and point. So there were some times when we had some delays on some projects with production and interviews, because he may be in crisis, and we may have to wait a little bit longer to get the project done. But 6 years in now, we figured it out, and sometimes you just have to give yourself time, and include that in the whole production. There may be times where he may be sick and we can't do it. So that's one of the obstacles that that I had to deal with, as far as working with Nasir. What would you say?
I would say there's a lot of different obstacles. I would say one of the most interesting ones is for this particular project about the Black Wall Street disagreeing with the amalgamated people. When we did try to do self-promotion via Instagram and Facebook,
right, that was
the algorithm, for whatever reason, it would not, all our posts would not pop up on people's feeds when we were doing promotion for the Black Wall Street documentary. So promoting the documentary has been hard, right, via social media, but a lot of people have been hearing about it through word of mouth. But
well, this platform right here is going to be very helpful for us, and we thank you for that, because we were trying to put out trailers and so on, and they would not allow us to share it for some reason.
Wow.
Yeah, it just wouldn't pop up in timelines for whatever reason. I'm not sure.
We would tag people, and they said, "No, we didn't see it. We didn't see it." Now it may be on my timeline or his timeline.
Right.
It wouldn't show up.
Yeah.
And this is your original work, so it boggles the mind, but we see how those algorithms are working, and we're starting to figure out that those algorithms are, I'm just gonna come out and say it, are anti-black or anti anything that deals with the progress of Black folks. Anything that, and I think that's why, I think, Maxine Waters kind of dealt with Mark Zuckerberg, in Congress not too long ago. I just think that these are some of the things that we need to air out, and I think folks, I'm glad that you brought that out and brought that out on this platform. That folks should hear that and understand what they are looking at through these social media outlets. They can be great, but also understand what you're not really saying, and things that are being censored for no purpose at all. One of the things, you guys did not mention it as an obstacle or a challenge, but I wanted to kind of bring it up to you guys now to give you an opportunity to see how's the funding campaign going with this.
Well, I mean, we've done fundraisers. We've given fish fries. I've given skating parties.
Yeah, because this project's been in the works for since I was in high school. So we did an initial fundraiser through it was a skating party or whatever, but and then we tried to do a crowdfunding campaign, but it was really hard for that to get going because we had a hard time sharing it on social media.
On social media, right?
So a lot of people didn't get the post or whatever. So it's been towards the end, we was like, look, we just gonna have to self finance.
Yeah, we just did it straight from the muscle. Like we just saved our coins. There were some things I may have wanted to do. I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. Let's put this money in the kitty. There was things he wanted to do, he couldn't do. But I looked at the big picture. I'm not just looking at the hole in the donut. I'm looking at the donut as a whole. And I think it's more important for us to make that sacrifice to share this information with the masses. Yeah. Because we're really, looking at this bigger and saying, look, this can really be a movement. If people really buy into the concept of how important it is to own and control your back dollars, especially the youth right now, because these Generation Z kids already are geared to not to work for anyone anyway, right now anyway. They want to start their own businesses anyway. So to show that there was a time when we were very successful, now you got to look at this was a time period after Reconstruction. Right. There wasn't a lot of money in the United States. Right. This is a town of about 10 to 20,000 people, and they had the most Black millionaires per capita than any other place in the world.
Yeah. Right. I also want to mention, yes, we do show what we have done, what we have been able to accomplish in the past 1921, but this film also provides answers, it provides solutions on how you can get your own today in 2021. So we provide those solutions with different entrepreneurs and finance gurus from all across the country.
Okay, we have Mark Lamont Hill. He's in there. He gave a phenomenal. Dr. Wayne Williams. Right. Like I said, Cindy McGee.
We got David Shands in there from Atlanta, very well known in Atlanta.
So we got some heavyweights. We're gonna surprise you. Actually, after the show, we're gonna drop a little sneak peek for you. That's how we wanted to do it. We wanted to do your show, and we got a sneak peek ready of what we already have out there to show a little bit more of what's going on with the film project. So after the show, we're gonna drop the sneak peek on Facebook.
That's what's up. Again, so everyone, stay tuned after this show for that sneak peek. I can't wait. I saw the intro.
I like the trailer, but you're gonna see some of the faces now.
That's right.
Some of the characters that we actually have, and actually, my Sands our Sands made the final cut.
There we go. Jump for more.
Yeah, jump for more success. He's in it. So we got some heavy hitters.
That's good. Hey, did you want to go with another one, Rob? I didn't want to cut you guys off. I thought you didn't ask another question.
Yeah. No, I think this has been obviously a great topic. I think that this is a topic that research. We need to continue to do our research on this, and I want to tell the audience, these two brothers have been working for years on this project, and they dug up a lot of research, and this is something that when this is presented, and we will be one of the first ones to announce when this is ready to this movie is ready to drop.
Actually, you're going to be on the guest list for the private screening, but you involve both and your wives. So
we
definitely
appreciate it.
It's funny that like I said, it took us 4.5 years, but we did 3 other films within the 4 years that were all award-winning films. That's how long it took for us to get this film done.
Right.
We've
Well,
actually dropped a film every year since we started this company, every year, and they've all been award winners.
Now, and I know you guys, your hands have been full with this particular project. And not to throw more work on you, but we all like money. But are how can some either corporations or someone who's looking to do some type of filmmaking that can utilize your services, how can they get in touch with you and get involved?
Yeah, you can if there's any company or any businesses, small businesses that need help with video services, whether that's for creating a course or a training course or a commercial promo video, you can contact us at nkacreations.com or contact my direct email at nazir@nkcreations.com. His email is hershey.austin@yahoo. But yeah, we're a full service production company. We can do it all.
That's kind of how we were able to finance the film. Because other than that, we do promotional videos for small businesses. We've done music videos to help finance this film. We've done several music videos. So we do other things besides film to keep the change moving. But yeah, we do what we have to do to get these projects. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to owe nobody.
That's right. That's right. So make sure you go to nkacreations.com. That's www.nkacreations.com. Well, you want to finish it, drop us home, man. This has been some great information, man. And, another powerful, all in politics show. Like I said, our motto is that we want to give a voice to the voiceless. And I know there's a lot of voices out there that have not been heard. And we hope that we can bring you to our platform. So go ahead, Walt.
Exactly. So once again, we want to thank Nasir and Hershey for coming back again for round 2 of the Power Hour. We're definitely going to come back for round 3 once that movie get released.
Yeah.
But for the sake of those that's probably just tuning in or just catching up, why don't you guys drop the info and where you can get contacted at and your upcoming projects so everybody can be aware.
Yeah, so if you want to follow the project District Greenwood, we do have an Instagram that we just created at District Greenwood on Instagram. If you want to follow any updates about the project, is District Greenwood on Instagram. And also anything regarding the company will be nkacreations.com and NK Creations on all social media. If you want to contact me personally, it's at Nazir the Creator on all social media. Hershey's is Hershey Austin on all social media.
And that's great. And like I said, man, we definitely appreciate you on our platform and All Politics here for putting out that information. And I forgot to begin at the beginning of the show, man. This is, in all due respect, to Black History Month. So
absolutely, that's why we wanted to get this show on here, because we have right.
Yeah, let's definitely give all praises to the ancestors on that one, because we need to start recognizing each other every day and not just 28 days. Also, I want to say for those out there that's up and coming that want to do filmmaking or whatever else, Nasir gave you guys information, Hershey gave you guys information. Feel free to reach out to these brothers because they're doing phenomenal work, and hope to see them on the big screen with bigger and better projects.
Yes.
So, all blessings to you guys, man, for doing a phenomenal job. Because we have to start putting the truth about us back out there. Stop letting somebody else run our narrative. We have these projects out here, 1619 and 1777, that will poison the minds of people into believing that the spook is a real individual, man, that's controlling our lives. But that's not the fact. So from that and all that being said, brothers, we wish you guys the best of luck, man. God bless you guys, man.
Thank you.
And like I said, we definitely
it's coming. We're about to drop it after the show. Remember to drop it.
Stay tuned for it.
It's actually live right now.
Stay tuned for it, brothers and sisters. Okay. It should be a good sight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And also, I want to before we close off, I will give a shout out to Lisa Poe, who checked in. She's also looking forward to the project. She checked in on our YouTube channel.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Hey, wait. How are we going to go, Rob, without giving, credit to our producer, the man 50 grand behind the scene?
Yes, sir. Mother Elijah Cooper. Thank you, Elijah, for doing the show for us tonight.
That's right. Shout out to Elijah Cooper, who is the owner and founder of the All In Network, who sponsors this program every 2 weeks. So again, shout out to our producer and our founder, Elijah Cooper.
Definitely. I want to make sure my check is signed.
Right. And listen, we look forward coming back to the third time after we drop the film, so we can have a conversation about the actual film as a whole once it's done. So
And I'm thinking,
man, we love to have you.
and I'm thinking we should do live from the premiere, man. Well, I think we should do a live broadcast from there.
yeah, that we possibly can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yes,
Oh,
sir.
definitely. Oh, definitely.
it's not. Remember, it's not going to be premiere. It's going to be a private screening.
Private screening. Okay.
Private screening, because the reason why we don't want to be disqualified from film festivals or that. So
Gotcha,
at the private screening, that would be a good idea to do it.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's
All
work
right,
with it.
let's do it.
We can work on that.
A live review, to say something like that. You know, after you watch the movie, the review on site.
And then you'll have the clips from the trailer and from the teaser and sneak peek.
I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Well, it's up now. I'm looking at it right now in the corner of my eye. So if you go to Facebook, the new sneak peek is up right now.
Give them the Facebook page.
Yeah, the Facebook is NK Creations or Nazir Austin, or you can watch it on YouTube right now. District Greenwood Sneak Peek. That's all you gotta type in, or hashtag DGAT movie. Either one, it'll pop right up the sneak peek.
Or go to my Facebook page, Hershey Austin. It should be up.
Cool.
That's good. So that was another good round, fellas. Like I said, man, God bless you both, man. Hope to see you soon. And you have many more prosperous endeavors moving forward, man. Bring that information to the people. And like I said, each one teach one, and we grow from there.
All right.
All right.
All right. And with that, we bid everybody adieu.
Peace.
Thank you. Peace.